afternoon, everybody. How you doing? I'm Scott Wallace, grandson of Henry Wallace. I'm delighted to be here with my IPS colleagues. You've just heard the framing. You've just been able to understand why we chose to house the Henry Wallace Fellowships at IPS. They have been doing this for a long time. 4 years after my grandfather founded the foundation that became the Wallace Global Fund. We couldn't be prouder of our association with IPS, with Tope and Sarah for great work, advancing the goals we all believe in. I did not take a jet here today. I hopped on my bike, doing my bit. The fellows are just amazing. We had a chance to spend some time with them yesterday, get to know them, where they're from, what they've been focusing on during their fellowships here at IPS. It's just an incredibly wonderful group, chosen from a huge hundreds of applicants. So you know they're awesome, and they will go on to do awesome things. And I was thinking on the way over here what my grandfather would think about this crop. Before his public life and after his public life, the most important thing in his life was how this year's crop would turn out. And I talked to them about it. He couldn't wait to see how the next year's crop would turn out. And I can't wait either, and I'm looking not just next year, but way in the future about what this crowd is going to be able to accomplish. And I have high hopes that his legacy will be continued and preserved well into the future. And that's why we did this at IPS. I want to tell you one little story about empowerment. You mentioned the Century of the Common Man speech. Here it is. It was published as a book because it was so popular. After Wallace gave this speech in 1942, Aaron Copland was so moved by the Century of the Common Man globally, inspiring people to rise up everywhere, that he wrote his Fanfare for the Common Man. It's now like a national anthem. You'll all know it. And it essentially went viral before there was the internet. It was turned into a video, which you can still buy on the internet. The story I want to leave you with about empowerment is told in this book, The Butterfly Effect. About a third of the book is devoted to the story of Henry Wallace being mentored by George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver was a student at the Iowa Agricultural College in the mid-1890s. And he was not allowed to live in the dorms because of race. And so my great-grandfather, Henry C. Wallace, who would go on to become Secretary of Agriculture as well, said, well, never mind, George, you come live with us. And he did during his time as a student at Iowa Agricultural College. And in gratitude, he took little 6-year-old, 7, 8-year-old Henry Wallace out in the fields to learn about botany, which is what he was studying under my great-grandfather. And this book tells the story of how Henry Wallace went on to create a seed corn hybridization company and developed what is now a modern commercial hybrid seed, and as vice president urged the Rockefeller Foundation to fund a research station to spread this crop multiplying technology around the world. And in 1970, Norman Borlaug, who Wallace recommended to run that research station, won the Nobel Peace Prize for saving 3 billion people from starvation. The point of this book is not about hybrid seed. It's about how the littlest thing can have huge effects. The flapping of a butterfly's wings can spread out and become a mighty ripple of hope, as Bobby Kennedy once said. So all of us have it in our power. That one little act of kindness of Henry C. Wallace saying, come stay with us, saved 3 billion lives and earned the Nobel Peace Prize. We all have that kind of power. Even a little flap of your wings, you can do it. Thanks.
Well said, Scott, and well said, everybody else so far. And thanks to IPS and the fellows and our staff and the board and everybody. The whole Wallace Global team has put so much great effort into this moment. And I'm thinking about talking about reading about Henry A. Wallace is an amazing thing as a descendant, as he is my great-grandfather, was my great-grandfather. And I think about how he thought about future generations so much, as did his father and others. And I tend to think that our people today don't think about the next generations as much as that time. But maybe that's my reading, but it's a feeling that in their writings, they talked about it so much. And I think also, I look up to him as not just my great-grandfather, but I think he thought about the future generations so much, but I think he was really thinking about the future generations of the common man, everybody. And I think that at Wallace Global, we've tried to represent that and represent his ideals. And the fellows are that representation that we're leaving behind as one of the main representations as we spend out. And as we spent out, as we built toward that, we thought about how we could keep Henry A. Wallace's memory intact and keep his prescient early analysis of American fascism in conversation because it's so relevant today. And that led to thinking about how we could do it best, which first led to the Henry A. Wallace Prize, which first went to Standing Rock for their standing up for what was right, really putting themselves on the line in fighting a massive corporation coming in to perpetuate a problematic system. Then we gave to Sunrise Movement and Poor People's Campaign, all amazing groups that represent those ideals. And through that, we tried to make it movement building, not just funding a single person, but funding groups who are working together and working toward a cause. And that evolved into the Fellows program, which is a little bit more like that. It's almost like the Fellows are a little movement. And ideally that feeds into the prize and the Fellows see a connection to the other awardees. And we really appreciate the Fellows and want to, the spend out is tied to how we support the Fellows, and we really just believe that we needed to take a stand in trying to advocate for how we look at philanthropy. And philanthropy needs more of a focused analysis of why it exists, and do we need to exist forever, and what is the purpose of philanthropy? I think it's to help people. It's not to make money. And there's so many different reasons that we took this decision to spend out, but this is the culmination, and I really appreciate everybody being here and everybody's effort toward this. Thank you.